Morning. I'm very pleased to be here because the environmental crisis is something that really disturbs me. Next to the, right after the existence of the State of Israel, the environmental crisis is the most disturbing thing in my thoughts. And specifically, we have not only the question of a greenhouse effect, as Dr. Klabin mentioned, but also the whole environmental system, yes? I mean, we are destroying species at an enormous rate. Every year, about 1,500 species, not animals, get destroyed. We are destroying forests. We are destroying jungles. These are things that cannot be reclaimed. I think that there's no disagreement as to what has to be done. The problem is not what has to be done. The problem is how to do it, how to get people to pay more attention to the environment and to try to preserve the environment. And the answer has to be just like the answer to any question. When you ask how you get people to do something, you have to give them incentives. Yes, it's the same question in economics. It's the same question in international relations, in war and peace. It's the same question in any area of endeavor where human beings take part and are a major factor. The question is one of incentives. You have to find the right incentives to get people to do what you want them to do. And let me give you one example. You can say from today till tomorrow, don't use so many plastics, don't use so much packaging, use paper bags or whatever. Try to not to create so much garbage. The garbage is something which we're filling up the world with garbage. Yes? We're not going to have any coral reefs anymore. Everything, the oceans are filling up with garbage. How do you prevent people from doing that? Well, you can say, be good, try to not to create so much garbage, be aware of the environment, yeah, but all that, it falls on deaf ears. It doesn't make any impact on anybody. In Switzerland, they found the right solution. In Switzerland, what they do is they say, you cannot throw out garbage wherever you want. There's a special place in every neighborhood, quite frequent places for depositing garbage. And they will not accept the garbage unless it is placed in special bags. You can throw out as much garbage as you want, but you have to put it in a special bag. And that special bag costs 5 Swiss francs. That's it, that's all. 5 Swiss francs, yeah? Okay, now do what you want. Be my guest, yes? You can produce as much. Now what happens is that, of course, 5 Swiss francs is money, yes? Okay? Especially if you're going to throw out 3, 4 of those bags a day, it starts adding up, yeah? So people pay attention to that. And then what it does is they go to the supermarket and they buy those things which don't have all that tremendous amount of packaging, yes? So the things that have a tremendous amount of packaging, they're not going to get bought in the supermarket. So the manufacturers take that into account and they make stuff which doesn't have all that packaging, right? So it's the incentives. They go from one place to the other. The incentives make the thing work. So in Switzerland, there isn't that much garbage, yes? it's not that the Swiss government wants to make revenue out of these bags, but they want to prevent people from throwing out so much. This is one lovely example. Let me give you another example, because incentives can work the other way also. You can have incentives which, here we had incentives to do the right things. There's also incentives to do the wrong thing. Let me tell you a story. In Nepal, up to about 20 years ago, in southern Nepal, there were beautiful jungles, yes, and the jungles had tigers in them, and they had thousands of species of birds and God only knows what. Yeah, a beautiful jungle, all right? Orchids, whatever you want, all right? Now, but there was one species among all those species which was also there. God made it. It's the Anopheles mosquito, okay? So these jungles were infested with malaria, okay? So you went there under your own risk. And also if you took the malaria pills, yes? All right. Well, the government of Nepal said, jungles are beautiful things, but malaria is terrible. Lives are lost because of malaria, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to drain the swamps. We're going to drain the swamps, and we're going to get rid of the Anopheles mosquitoes, but we'll leave the tigers, we'll leave the orchids, we'll leave everything. Okay, great. So that's what they did, and they eliminated the Anopheles mosquito. As soon as they eliminated the Anopheles mosquito, there was no longer any malaria there. There was no longer any malaria. Lots of people in Nepal, lots of people, yeah? So they started looking for room. They went to a little corner of the jungle, and they burnt it down, okay? And they built a house and a farm there. And then somebody else came and took another little corner of the jungle. Today, there's no jungle in southern Nepal, okay? So this great thing of saving lives by eliminating the Anopheles mosquito, it turned out to give the wrong incentives, right? Okay? Now, I think no amount of Kyoto protocols, no amount of how does one call it, guidelines for what levels we have to reach by this or that, all that stuff is not going to work. Yeah? It's not going to work. You have to give people incentives, and you have to give, the governments have to give the people the incentives, and we have to give the government the incentives, yes? In other words, the international community has to see to it that the government has incentives to meet those guidelines, to meet those goals. How do you do that? Well, you say, okay, you say, we give you aid, this and that. The aid is directly tied to the amount by which you exceed the goals or do not exceed the goals. Don't make it a yes or no question. It's got to be a question of, like the Swiss garbage bags. It has to be, you pay for it. You exceed your goal by this and that amount, you get this and that amount of aid. It has to be directly tied. And then the governments themselves will have incentives to give the people incentives to do the right thing. Thank you very much.